All right.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kngdom Bound.
Let's go.
I'm Lex Michael, a.k.a. New Suave.
And I'm Devin Youngblood, a.k.a. Devin Youngblood.
And this is our show.
Like when we say we are Christians, right, what are we actually talking about? Right? Us being certain things, we're not going to have faith that he's going to carry me through.
Yeah. Keep it all in my father's hands. I ain't bothered with it. Try to be optimistic, but I'll be honest.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Kngdom Bound podcast, where we talk about faith, the future, following Jesus, and some other stuff. All right, so this is episode 1. Today we're going to be talking about what it means to be just a follower of Christ. What is it like when we say we are Christians, right? What are we actually talking about?
Are you asking me?
Oh, no, that was just that's the setup for the time.
Because I could have answered it.
All right, hey, tell us, what does it mean to be like a follower of Jesus?
Really, I think the whole... So there's many sub-points of it that follow along, but that
Man has a thesis
main
statement.
thing to me is love people.
Ooh, tell them about it. Ooh.
Main thing. But we can get into that later.
We can. All right. So the Kngdom Bound podcast is essentially just a space where we can talk about, like, what does it mean to be kingdom bound in a broken world, right? We're talking about, like, what does it mean to have a heart that seeks Jesus, right? To have that relationship with him.
And the cool thing about this podcast is we're not old.
Nope.
We're still part of Gen Z. You know, we didn't graduate too long ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we just,
it's just us trying to change generations.
Yeah.
Like after us.
Exactly. You know, it's,
So before we get into all that though, like how I said, we talk about some other stuff.
We have some other stuff to talk about.
All
right, let's hear.
So let me go and start. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you a little silly question, and then I'm going to ask you a more of an in detail question, kind of transitioning into what we're going to talk about.
Okay,
right?
bet, yeah.
So first question is, what side? Whenever you go to movie theaters, what side of the armrest is yours?
My argument is both. Like I don't think you've seen me in a theater, but like when I go to a theater,
Are you the one that goes?
I sprawl, bro. Yeah, I put my arms around, like, and I put my feet up. I've had people sit in front of me who I have put my foot next to their head. I'm not, and yeah. So I think it's really petty to sit directly in front of people in a theater if there's other options. Personally, but
if you had to pick a side,
but if I had to choose left, like if I had to choose
Me
the
too.
side, it would just.
for some reason, I always go like this, and it's just a left side. I don't know why I can't go on the right side, and I'm right-handed, but more of like just left hand.
This is scoliosis. But
so I think left side. He probably picks both.
Both, but left if I had only
left.
one, because then like you can put like your drink. If you put your drink on the right side, you're a sociopath. Anyway, so yeah, I lean left.
Lean left.
Not politically. Well, that's a discussion.
So whenever you drive, when you drive, do you lean left?
Yeah. Okay. So I've been told.
I feel so weird me going like.
So I've been told. I mean, I kind of just flow. I've been told I have like that slight ADD tendency to like swerve a little bit, to just just kind of drift like this a little. But both ways. I prefer both, and if I ever have the option to choose between one thing and another.
Are you a road rager?
I spent a lot of time in Boston, man.
I actually witnessed this firsthand. This dude is in Little Rock, and he was talking crap about everybody that was on the road.
Bro, no one can drive. No one can drive in this state,
everybody.
Bro. Like, people in Boston can drive. Like, people in Boston are capable. They just drive really aggressive. Like, that's the expectation. People here just can't drive.
They can't. Yeah, I have a serious case of road rage. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, dude.
I can't stand people driving.
Like, I'm gonna be, this is so off topic, but like, for real, like, people who slow down before they get on the exit ramp, you know what I'm saying? Like,
or like Little Rock when they had no street lights.
There's no street lights, so like the ability to drive is irrelevant at that point.
All right, so that was more of the silly question. So let me dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So when it comes to relationships, more of an intimate relationships.
Okay.
And it could be your friendships, but typically this doesn't happen in friendships because I have a lot of friends that are in relationships, so I look from the outside looking in, and I see a lot of things.
Okay.
And one of the things that I noticed, I'm not gonna point anybody out, but one of the things I've noticed is happiness and where you put it in a relationship.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: is it a toxic trait? Like, is it a trait that you need to work on yourself? Is if I do have a girlfriend, but this is theoretically speaking, that if I only find my happiness, I'm only happy whenever I'm with her. Like, only happy whenever I'm with her. Is that a toxic trait?
I think that's when it's that becomes toxic when like your happiness is based on someone else. So I think that like you need to be a happy person before getting in a relationship, because if you're seeking happiness through a relationship, it's 100, like no matter what you do, it's going to be toxic. Because anytime, exactly what you're saying, anytime that person's not around, right, if they're away, your happiness is away. You know what I'm saying?
And that's when it gets kind of unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
It's not really a toxic trait. It's more of an unhealthy trait.
Yeah. And I feel like, well, the thing is, it can become toxic when instead of like dealing with that feeling of like, oh, if you're not around, I don't feel happy, trying to like force or manipulate a person to be around all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's
typically how it goes.
Yeah. And so I definitely would recommend, if you're in a relationship and that's the way it is, definitely kind of review. But like,
so I know you're not in a relationship currently,
nope, not currently.
I mean, you like to talk about it like you are in one. So let's say you had a girl. Let's say you have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And saying this now, do you think that your happiness would depend on her?
So I will say that I realized that like as a person who's not in a relationship and like I would argue more objective about certain things, I recognize the difference when emotions are involved. Right, because I haven't been in a relationship, but of course I've had feelings for people, and I've explored that.
When you involve feelings and emotions, it gets different.
It gets different when you're like trying to like think through, man, what do I do without this person? Or like, so like maybe not your happiness is dependent on them, but like,
there's
you
nothing
just
wrong.
Feel really good when they're around.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with feeling good and being happy whenever they're around.
Right.
But when they're not around, what do you do to make yourself happy? You know,
right?
Because then that's when it becomes unhealthy for you, and then whenever it becomes so unhealtly for you that it then becomes unhealthy for your entire relationship.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yep. And again, like as a third party, I'm the single friend that people ask for advice from, and no one ever listens. Like I can like. I'll be out here like, yeah, no, XYZ, for sure, XYZ, don't do ABC. After they go and do ABC, they come back like, bro, XYZ just happened. I'm going to be like, really? Okay. Yeah.
So, what y'all think? Y'all think that's an unhealthy trait to have in a relationship? And then let us know why.
Yeah, and I mean, that whole point of like relationship, right, is what we're here to talk about. Like, in the broad scale of things, right, basing happiness on other people is inherently dangerous. Basing your joy, right, because happiness and joy are two different things. Yeah, for sure. And so being like, okay, my joy is based in my relationship with Jesus, my closeness with Jesus, and the sturdiness I have in that, right? Being secure in that, I think, gives you so much leverage as a person. You know what I'm saying? Because that means like you're not looking or depending on anything in this world to give you the joy, right? Happiness comes and goes. That's just the way life is. No one's a happy 100% of the time. But having like joy based in like what you understand about Jesus is a powerful thing. And that can like, you know, it's sort of like where you need to like escalate the amount of dependency on Jesus in order to like maintain, I would argue, that joy. It's like one of those things where like, yes, you can find joy in the basic fact that you know that Jesus died for you, right? But do you know that you can cast your cares on him? Like how, like, do you know that like in low times you can reach out to him and feel like the peace and presence that comes from a relationship? That's when it starts becoming like, oh, I wish my girlfriend, significant other was around, and I would feel happier maybe if they were here, but my joy isn't based in that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I think that when it comes to being a Christian, or, you know, just really living healthy and not having too much based on other people specifically, because people, you know, people are, it's tough with people, but like having joy rooted in something other than another person, I think you have to start there.
Okay. I realize that you have some questions to ask.
I do.
And the theme, what is the theme?
So the theme of my question, like, it kind of breaks down to, like, are we Christians? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think for me, like, that's the thing that I'm constantly thinking through. Like, where's my heart? How would I engage whether or not my faith and my fruit speaks for itself? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that there's a certain level of passiveness that I've just noticed in myself, in the Church of America. Like, having been to so many different church settings within the United States and seeing that there seems to be a mismatch in philosophy and action, like, just taking self-inventory and really being like, on an individual level, how's my relationship with Jesus? And then on a body level, on a church level, on a community level, how am I doing engaging with and being neighbors and showing love and kindness? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think that's really the overall theme. And so I think the first question, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have my notes pulled up anywhere, but like, what does it mean to like display faith? I think is the gist.
I think the question was, how do we display our faith?
How do we display?
So, in the midst of fighting with technology,
dude, I had to box with all this stuff.
I thought of a different, more effective answer.
Okay.
So these bracelets I wear.
Yeah.
Like one of them is from camp. It says, "Follow me." This one is Philippians 4:13.
Yep.
This one is Citizen of Heaven, and although I'm not trying to shove religion, Christianity down people's throat, because I work at Finish Line, and it doesn't really matter if you come into encounter a lot of people, and a lot of people that don't know Jesus,
right?
And they could simply look in my wrist and see a Citizen of Heaven or Philippians 4:13, and then they can go home and be like, okay, what is Philippians 4:13?
That's actually a great point. That's something I've been thinking about a lot, especially in spaces, because like the other thing I was talking about, like, when you display your faith and what happens when you don't, we were talking about, like, I DJ, right? I play music for different events in different spaces, and like maybe having something that's like visibly like, oh, why you have like a Jesus fish on your shirt or something. Attire is a good way, right? And there's like a whole scope of things we could talk about. Like, yes, the stuff on your shirt, like starting the conversation of like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that phrase mean? Or something that's really obvious that shows like, no, you're a Christian. Like, I have a shirt that says just forgiven on it that I like to wear from time to time, just to like make it clear. It's like, no, this is the wave I'm on, you know, and you take it or leave it, like it or don't.
So that's a good answer that I did, is like, how am I displaying my faith? Well, I'm not trying to
literally
shove it down. I'm literally
Yeah.
displaying my faith. This is what my faith looks like.
That's actually a good point.
And so the next question I remember, I just thought about it, is is there a limit?
Right. Is there a limit to, okay, so this is a big one. I'm going to get, this is a big one for me, because like I sometimes get confused, because like when we talk about who God is, right, when we talk about who our Savior, the creator of the universe, the king in charge of everything, right, and you really start putting things in perspective and scale, is there an actual limit to what we can do?
So when you say a limit, are you talking about like here on earth? Like, am I like, if I'm a Christian, I can't do this? Or if I'm a Christian, I can't go out and party. Like, what are you saying by
so I
limit?
guess it's like the limitations of behavior, but really it's more like, okay, because like the initial disciples, right, had the ability to like cast out demons, right, and heal sicknesses.
He gave him that. He gave him that.
Right, and I don't know if did that just wear off over time? Like, is that just gone now, or is it like just something assigned to disciples?
Well, like we're talking about faith,
right? Having
faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crazy to me. That's why the whole inspiration of this is like, how do you take inventory, and see where's our faith, right? Essentially, if you break it down, right, as an army of people with the ability to move mountains with the faith the size of a mustard seed, like what are we doing? What
is our limit?
Yeah, what is the limit, and like why have we not been like trying to find out?
I think the question right there lies in, or the answer right there lies in the passage. Is faith as big as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Yeah. Faith can move mountains. And I personally think, what are you looking for? I personally think that if we have faith, there is no limit to what we can. There's no limit. The sky is the limit.
Exactly.
I think that a simple aspect of what, if we have faith, then we can do whatever we want. Obviously, I can't be like, oh, I have faith, so I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna jump out the building. I'm gonna fly. Or I have faith that I'm gonna be 6'8" one day. Like that's just not gonna happen. You know, God blesses me with certain things, and I can have faith that He's gonna carry me through.
Yeah.
And that's all that I need.
That's pretty much it right there, man. Summed it up. I think that for me, so one of the things that I really like to use in this space is also kind of like sprinkle in just experience and testimony when it comes to like pursuing Christ, spiritual warfare, seeing things that are like, okay, something's clearly not entirely natural about what's going on. And like, what does that mean from like the Christian stance? And even the natural things like cities with like millions of Christians, but people are still like hungry, right?
What was the question?
What, the question?
Yeah, did you ask?
Oh, I think it's just still like the limit thing. Like what it like, because there's such a like, I guess, intense side to things that we just kind of tend to ignore. You know what I'm saying? Like fully right now, like millions of people are starving. Fully like right now, like the battle between good and evil in the spiritual realm is taking place. You know what I'm saying? And so it's so hard to like maintain a perspective on that and also deal with life from a cultural standpoint as a middle. I mean, for me, for a while, they're like lower, it's a middle class American, but even middle class upper, it doesn't matter. American in general, right? Citizen of Earth. Life is so distracting that in the 80 years we have to make a decision about our eternity, we're so distracted by everything. We never stop and think about really fundamental aspects of like, if God is real, Jesus is real, and our relationship with Him enables us to do these incredible things and find like our own spiritual gifts, right? If there are so many of us, right, what's the limit? What are we doing? What can we do?
Right.
And that's really just the point of exploration I wanted to get started with in all this.
Can you remember any other questions from?
No, I can't, but I can remember there was supposed to be like a freestyle segment to this, but for now, I think that kind of wraps up just this first episode, the first discussion, you know what I'm saying, of like talking about kingdom activity, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about being kingdom bound, basically heaven bound, right? Because after our time here, it's either time in heaven or time in hell, man. And I think that's something that, like, for me, I think about pretty frequently, that I think that that's a battle that we're fighting, right? We're fighting for souls. We're not just fighting for affluence. We're not just fighting for status, money, or whatever. We're actually fighting for the eternal well-being of other people. You know what I'm saying? And so trying to focus on that more and have like a kingdom impact, all of us on individual levels, right? And then on the community level, how do we do that, right? And I think that even just having the time and space to think and talk about it would be just, I mean, it's obviously beneficial for you and me, but beneficial for like everybody, you know what I'm saying? I think that as a body of Christ, and so that's really what this is all about. And so I appreciate you jumping into this podcast, jumping into the fray.
This is going to be our show. We might even have some merch coming.
Yeah, we might have some merch coming. Keep your eyes peeled. Kngdom Bound, all right? I might already, by the time I edit this, I might have like some designs done.
I don't know if we can swing it, but we may even get some students in here from our
so
church.
Honestly, like really just kind of getting plugged into like, obviously the community operation, the sort of like speaking into the next generation and like just kind of like, yeah, opening up those doors to like
getting some answers from them. We can see what their answers look like.
Yeah, what does the world look like through other views, different perspectives and everything. And so that's what this space is for. Thank you guys.
Now
so much.
I got a question. I got one more question for you. One
go.
more question for you. So whenever you look at restaurants, you can count fast food too. What do you think is God given? Okay. Well, what restaurant do you taste and you're like, man, this has to be from heaven? Or this has to be in heaven?
Oh, man, there better be sushi in heaven, bro. And I know you hate seafood, but like...
I hate seafood, but I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Nah, for real, though, like, sushi is my... Like, anytime I go to a good sushi place...
like what place?
There's, like... Matter of fact, man, I spent, like, a little time in Hawaii and had, like, the fresh fish, like, raw fish. Like, straight out the water, chopped up, and just put in a bowl. That's my wave. I'm hoping hopefully there's some fish in heaven, man. It sucks for the fish. But, like...
Mine is Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake. You're not wrong.
That's got to be in heaven. There's got to be some kind of steak and shake in heaven.
Can you imagine, like, who works at the steak and shake in heaven? Like, it's not the angel. Like,
it definitely ain't Lucifer.
Surely not. Okay, so
I probably wouldn't eat there.
Me neither. So drop a comment, guys. What do you want to eat in heaven? What you're driving through heaven? What are you driving through to pick up?
Oh, I forgot to mention the shirt. Man, NF is about the greatest performer I have ever seen.
Dude, check out the vlog. That's probably dropping at the same time as this. Like, that was crazy.
The greatest. Now, it come to my attention that you didn't know very many songs.
I did.
You were kind of just sitting there. You were kind of just sitting there bobbing your head.
You know.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you want to know his songs now after that concert?
I do. I listened to The Search a few times after that. The Hope album, what's the one? Mama?
Mama?
And Motto. Those two.
Motto is my favorite one.
Yeah, those two went crazy. It's funny because even as a DJ, I'm not like, lyrics and words don't stick in my brain very well because everything's so flow of thought, like memorizing stuff like that's never been my strong suit. But I will learn some NF songs.
I will tell you what. If he comes in town again, another vlog is coming. We're going.
Yeah,
we're going.
Without a doubt.
We're going.
But
anyway. I think that wraps it up for this podcast. It's 10:27.
Yep.
Perfect timing.
Sure is. Thank you guys for joining. Keep an eye out for the merch. Subscribe, share, like, supportive stuff. I don't know what all there is to do, but like do that.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything that has to do with getting to know our videos.
Yeah. Yes. We will see you guys in the next episode of Kngdom Bound. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We'll catch you next time.